Merchant cash advances up to $2 million and above declines. Why are you getting declined? What can you do to fix that? And more. Hi, welcome in. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business funding expert, business loan broker expert, pre-underwriter slash underwriter who's been able to help a lot of people and their businesses get the right type of funding under the right strategic partnership and roadmap for longer term. I've been doing this for a while. I run my own businesses, one in the digital marketing agency, lead generation space, health affiliate marketing, helping people with vitamins and supplements, ergonomic things, and a lot of other products and services, digital, physical products, as well as other affiliate ventures that I then went into after I had set a lot of this, other verticals. And now I have been doing this for a very long time as a funding expert, and having gotten funding for them, I wanted to take my own experience and experiences and show others how to do it correctly. And I know as you're navigating this landscape, perhaps you've submitted your file, and I'm going to get to that in a second and why that's bad in case you're doing it wrong. And you've been looking, people overpromising and under-delivering. You give people your information only to then get declined and are unsure about why it's happening and what should you do to fix it. How should you go about it the next time? Take more tender care and love over your file. Seriously, no cliche, and more. So, I'm going to get into this topic here, but I do want you to know that down below in the description, I'll have more information. I'll even have a video on my story or a couple you can go through. I'm not going to cover too much or perhaps any of it in this one, but to learn more about who I am as a person, first and foremost, and then who I am in business, I'll leave more information down below. And for all other information, the best place to get started is my free funding form questionnaire. It's not an application. No, I am not a creditor. This is very safe and secure. I know how to underwrite files. I look at them all of the time. I read bank statements, tax returns, P&Ls, credit reports. I do that throughout my day. I did a little bit of that earlier today. It's a Friday, and so it's a little bit more lenient, but I review documents every day. I'm an introvert, very cerebral, analytical type of person. So I'm a thinker more than anything, and so I can sit in front of a computer without out loud speaking, but thinking, cerebrally burning my brain. So what I want to get into are some of the things that I've been seeing a lot recently and what you need to be careful of when you move forward. There are so many reasons why you can get declined, not only with a merchant cash advance or a cash advance hybrid / term loan, all revenue coming into the business, not just credit card or debit card statements, receipts. And there are many other services that you can get declined for. So each service has their own reason or similar reasons to why you would get declined. But for this video topic, we'll focus on the cash advances. And I've created content on SBA loans, commercial real estate investing, any other type of growth and expansion product, equipment, creative credit backed funding. If you're trying to get 0% interest business credit cards or no doc, low doc, medium to high doc lines of credit, what would you need to do to go through that? Grants. I even have a grant document of over 900 plus that continually gets rotated and updated monthly, and you can go through that and have it at your fingertips. And to pick that up, you'll want to fill out the questionnaire so you just don't get the partial. I have a partial document on grants, and then I have a full 900 plus grant list that gets continuously updated. And to pick that up, you can go ahead and fill out the questionnaire down below. And if you fill that out, I would have already submitted it back to you in the PDF, customized, personalized, and highly customized response that I give each person. And I'll show you your best funding option and options thoroughly broken down like nobody else's business. I'll show you information that's not even publicly released. So without a shadow of a doubt, you'll know before you walk into that application what you need to have. You will even be able to self-qualify and disqualify yourself. And all of this information, I'll guide you where to look. I'll give you a custom roadmap on how to move forward. I'll give you different options for like SBA, for advances, for collateral, for credit, and I'll tell you which one is best based on your situation, even without looking at documents even to begin. Once that is in my hands and or the team or all of us, then I'm able to better understand and or. So that's something that I want to get in. What I mean by and or team, that's what I mean included. So here is something I have on my laptop. I'm not going to get into the specifics. There are things that I've accumulated from a lot of clients who have been rejected for funding, so I won't go through the specifics. I won't say the exact names of the companies. I won't say the exact name of the person. I won't give out any kind of personal details, no credit report details on this, but I want you to listen very closely and carefully to what could be happening. So what I've been seeing as a common theme, and I've had clients in a day who would get declined over and over and over, and it just happens. It's like a spiral effect. And then there are those who win, who get an offer, who don't want it for certain reasons. Others who do, others who don't even pay attention to an email or somebody reaching out to them to help them understand their offer or however it's presented to them. So one thing I want you to know is be punctual and be disciplined. That's how I am, and I don't want my energy and time wasted. If you want to work with an expert, there you go. But here are some things that I have, and this is just for a few. I have a variety of others from lenders sending back this feedback to me and the team, and knowing exactly what is going on and how can I best help out the client. And it's very important to have that. I always tell somebody it's not what you don't know or what you do know that helps. It's what you don't know that hurts you more than anything. And I told somebody that yesterday who was trying to fix their credit or who was trying to move forward with credit cards, but they have low accounts. They have new accounts open, low limits. There's a lot in their credit mix that even if they had over 800 or 700 plus credit, they still wouldn't qualify. But I understand their situation as well as I can understand yours. And so here, I'm just going to say this not word per word, but you'll probably be getting your file submitted by different ISOs, different organizations, different lenders, brokers, independent. And so what you need to be very careful of is going to a source that they can apply or they can take you to multiple lenders. Do they protect your credit? That's another question. They're shopping around your credit. Are they doing it right or wrong? If they're doing it right, you're still getting sent out to different providers. Is it protecting your safety and security? That's another thing. And one thing you need to be careful of is when you do that, your information is out there for everybody. And the other thing too is if you don't go through and you don't even get an offer, a lot of the times this information gets stored into the credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. So a lot of the times from, like, let's say example, Equifax or an Experian, let's say somebody buys that data, guess what? Now you're getting contacted by another provider. It could be a third party, it could be a marketplace, it could be a broker, it could be a lender. Now they have your attention. You gave it to them unknowingly of what you're doing, or you did. You're like, I'm just so desperate. I've been getting declined. Let's just try this time again. And they tell you to send over the 3 months of bank statements, a copy of your driver's license, and a voided check. And there's a few things there, or it could be depending on the service. It doesn't always have to be that specific cash advance, or usually it isn't that. And that's a product you have to be very cautious of. If you're not using the money to take it and grow and expand your revenue, your ROI is not making sense. It's not where it needs to be, and it's just very optimistic funding where you're sure if you put $1 in, you'll get $3 out. It'll be a 1-to-1 ratio. Your percentage is too low. You're trying to increase from 15 to 30%, but you don't know if this marketing campaign, or you're doing catering and you need a market for your catering, or you have a specific demographic, psychographic of population, but you're unsure about how that'll work, how much you'll get in return. What will your gross profits be? What will your net margins be? You got to look at these things and understand sometimes you don't have that pattern recognition. So you go into it and you're like, this is the only funding I can get. Let me just start off with a little bit. But are you going to take that money? Is it going to exceed the repayment? Taking $30,000, paying back $42,000, $43,000. Can you make $45K? Can you make just $43K? Can you break even? So you got to ask yourself that. And even if you're struggling, is this the only source and you need to take it just to repair, just to get through, just to pay some things off? You know it's not the best use of funds, but you needed it for that time being. You have to make a very calculated decision and not over leverage yourself with this funding. Each scenario is different. So one thing, again, like I mentioned, is, and I'm looking at it right here, I can go down my whole list. It's the same reason. It's one of the many reasons for different clients. And look, another one there, another one here, similar reasons. And because your file has been getting submitted multiple times, and if you've been getting your file submitted more than once, more than 2, 3 times, like all it takes is more than one. Guess what? When you come to me and now you're asking if I can help, if I can save you, you've been getting declined, and I get the picture of why. Before we even go into any of this, you wouldn't even go into any of it. Sometimes we do and go through. Sometimes you don't share that with me. You don't feel open about it. Sometimes it isn't asked. Sometimes I'm waiting for you to correspond and share a bit of that with me. But when you're getting your file submitted and I'm not even doing it, now I'm like the fifth ISO or I'm the fifth person you're coming to, and you expect a different result? I'm asking myself, before we even got started, did any of them share any vital information with you as into why you were getting declined? A little bit more specifically, were they able to share that information? Because I know at times they can't, specifically sensitive personal information. You have to be careful. Even I am. I can't share with you all of that. You know, though, what you were at fault for. If I gave you a list of the credit reasons you can get declined for, you can even just go one, two. Okay, it's the third one here. Yeah, I know. I had that in the last 2 months. So here's the thing that you can get as well, and that I would get as well. All lenders or these lenders looked at your file. Your file has been submitted to them previously in the last 30 days about twice from 3 different ISOs or 3 different brokers. You know how bad that looks? That looks terrible. And it isn't always your fault. I would say it is if you have the knowledge, you go against it, and you do what you want to do because your ego, because of your stubbornness, because of your arrogance, your ignorance, your cocky ways, perhaps. Not to be mean or aggressive, guys. This is tough love for you. This is a learning lesson. It was for me, and I hope it is for you. And you can share this with others who need help. So be careful. This is one thing I'm going to go through a little bit more. It could say your file was submitted 2 to 3. That's all it takes. And it wasn't through me. Now I'm the fourth one submitting it. That's not good. And it happened in the last 30 days, last 60, last 90 days. Because we're going to look at the last 3 to 4 months of bank statements, depending per state. A lot of the times now it's become 4, 3 or 4. So you're going to have to wait. Oh, and we haven't even gotten into if there is an actual credit issue. Oh, we're just talking about submissions. Oh, now you add on a credit issue. Oh, so now you're telling me, now I can't go into the specifics. Sometimes I can give you a little bit more. Sometimes I could get into the specifics, especially if you share more with me on your side that you're willing to open up. If you were to share with me directly the credit report or in this format, and then I can look at things. But now we have a credit issue. Oh, what is that credit issue? It could be many things. You could be dealing with missed late payments in the last 30 days. You're not paying your mortgage. You missed 2 payments. You're behind on that. How is a lender going to give you money if you can't even pay your existing creditor, your creditor notes, your existing debt? And those debt payments are not so low. You're leasing, you're renting. You've been missing payments. There's overdrafts, bounced checks. Then you have non-sufficient funds if you have that to add. Negative days. No more than 5 non-sufficient funds, or NSFs for short, or negative days in any of the last 3 months. So guess what happens? Now you have negative days and now you have non-sufficient funds. You've been getting your file submitted by 3 to 4 different people. And guess what? Now you're going to have to wait another, I wouldn't know, I wouldn't even say 4 months with all of that. Because of the late payments are probably the only reason. You're probably going to have to wait another year and then wait for those to age. Sorry, not sorry. And I feel for you. I have a lot of compassion. I am that kind of person. I'm a very loyal. I'm a Libra. I'm very nice. I give people the benefit of the doubt. And I'm never rude. I don't ever pressure people. You can ask the people that I work with. That's not my person. I'm not like that. I'm not a salesperson. Academically, I went to school, sociology. I studied a bit, played Division I soccer. I'm not even genetically gifted, but I've always had this. I've always had this. Has always been strong. I've always had to, not the word outsmart, but outwork people because it came through this. Talent's one thing, working on the skill set, but continuously doing it every day, being a better person every single day, and then just reinforcing this through business and more personal development. But then I went into chemical engineering. I wanted to get into that field, so I got into that for a bit, studied that. And the next part was hard. That wasn't hard already to make that transition and to change. It wasn't that hard because it was in the beginning stages. But while I was doing this for some time, I wanted to start a business. So I had to make a big change. Not that it was hard for me, it just kind of dull at times. A big change. Not that it was hard for me, it just kind of dull at times. And I was going for chemical engineering. And chemistry is my favorite class, by the way. And then I transitioned into business. Long story short of it, and then went through that. I worked in construction, manufacturing, in the field position, actually like working the machine. No, I'm not a pretty boy. No, I'm not a. You just worked as financial cubicle or chemical in the lab type of field. I've actually put my hands in a machine, got dirty, worked in day and day. I had to be at my job, clocked in by 5. Had to be clocked in. Had to be there early, like 4:30. Working the machines in the production environment that I didn't have to be in to make ends meet, but also to experience more. And because my dad was actually working there too, so I knew a lot of the coworkers. So it was already coming into the environment situation where I knew a lot of them. And working on the machine, pumping out tooling, dialing, changing the oil, going into the chemicals and pouring things and understanding the chemical components. And then working, that was one of my favorite things. And then working in the blueprint room, looking at blueprints, cast irons, putting molds together for different people. I was working with different departments in there, and that was good too. Worked in construction. Even before that, I was in a manhole sewer rehabilitation company, California, and it was high risk. For those reasons, I didn't continue. As many of you would think the same. If you were in my shoes. But if you had to provide for a family, I didn't have a family and all that at that time, of course, like that. But it happens, and I had to work in the shop, and then I also had to go out to the field, drive camera trucks, drive a stick shift. That's where I really learned how to drive stick shift. And I went up and down hills through the Grapevine. I went through Pacific Coast Highway. I went through all different ways. I was in Los Angeles one week. I was in San Diego another, and I had to drive myself, or I had to go with somebody. And sometimes the truck that I was in wouldn't even. They gave me one that wouldn't work with the water tank in behind, and I had to fill it up, drain it. And I had to do all different things. I had to take things through the tool. I had to get into the manhole sewer when I had to, when that chance presented itself, and I had to get into that. I worked in as a ramp agent, warehousing in my younger 20s. I did other roles as well. So I've been there. Even as somebody who academically put himself through a lot of this that I didn't have to, I've experienced so much. And I'll give you my age. I'm 30, and I've done so much in my 20s. And so all of this to say, let me go back to a few points, and I'm going to go to the comments in less than like 2 minutes. Please give me that. So here's another one. And I'm not going to say exactly, but this is over 4 or 5 times that somebody had submitted it to this specific provider. And that would have been their best situation. But done. That lender, like, done. It doesn't matter if it's an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. You guys understand? That even if you go to a low, medium, to high tier lender, they're looking at this information and taking it very seriously. If it's just that one issue, even if it's just you've been getting submitted so many times and been getting declined, but why have you been getting declined? Is there a credit ineligibility score a factor? Then what is that? The underwriter or underwriters can't always give me that. And I have a underwriter way of looking at things too. So I get their position. Here's another one. This is one that is a little bit more niche, but they were declined for specific credit reasons I won't get into. I'll get into another one on a business line of credit. And only a specific amount of lenders work with specific banks. You guys have to get that through your head. I've shared this with so many people, and if it's your first time hearing it, it's okay. But when I say that, it's if I've communicated this with you and you haven't gotten the message and you're still doing the same thing, trying to get the different result, that's what I mean by get this through your head. Or just before, even if you haven't done that yet. But there are only certain lenders who will work with specific banks, like Novo, Mercury Online, and others. I'm not going to start naming all of them. And a lot of these lenders don't want to work with specific banks like that. I'm not going to start saying which one is the one right now, but you want to be cautious of who you are banking with and why you're changing banks if you are, or if that's your primary and that's your only one. Do you need to change? If you need to change, what would you need to do that? Does it make sense to? Just for funding? How much are you getting in funding? But not just looking at it as in temporary or it's just a little amount because of that. This is a long-term thing. If you can get a little bit, if you can just get 3,000, and then you're going to move up, you're going to get 5,000, and then you could get 15,000. That's how much of a jump I see a lot of people make, especially when they come back with me. And so this is another thing. Only certain lenders will look at certain bank accounts, and that could just completely wipe off your file. That could be just like done. Because a lot of, not these I want to say, or yeah, one of them or so, but there's probably a lot of activity that is not good activity. Let's just put it that way. You can leave it into interpretation. I don't want to get into all the little fine details of that for this specific topic and the information on that. But there's a lot of shady activity that you could see with certain banks. And you want to be cautious, but because of the wire fees, because of zero wire fee, a lot of people change because of that. And I get it. It's becoming costly. You're getting extracted a lot of money coming out of your account per day, per week. And then you don't have enough cash flow or reserves for working capital, for operational, for your equipment costs, your leases, for your other debt payments, your other creditors. Well, that's a lot of the reason why you don't. And you can't take an additional, let's say $2,000 that you're left with out of that $5,000 or so per week that you made total in wire, although it might be one, more or less. You can't use that. You're like, if I had 2,000, I'd be able to use that for inventory, for at least a little bit that I can save up for on a down payment, for a mortgage, for rent, for other things that you need to do to grow and expand, or just pay down, pay off, completely eliminate. So here, let me move back up here. So another thing too, it can be a combination, like I said. So it can be how many times you've been submitted, and it can also factor in with credit, your credit score, and things on your report. So it could be a combination of that. Another thing too, it could be excessive negative days, non-sufficient funds, like I said a little bit earlier. So it could be that only one thing, but it could be a few more things. So here, let me bring up this. And I can't read this word per word. But let's just say I had a client just recently who would have been given an offer, but they didn't want to because they weren't able to give them as many. And then two, how the file's been getting submitted, and then to them, they've received it multiple times from different ISOs. And guess what? I wouldn't want to accept the file. Like, you've been getting declined. Let's find out more why that is. It's one, or is it more? Okay, we found all this out. No. All it takes is one. All it takes is the most minute thing. It's because of your track record. That's what it is. So what if it happened just once? At this time, it happened 4 to 5 times in this season. So what makes us think that you won't have that happen again? We don't see enough depositing. We don't see enough revenue as it is. Or it's irregular. It's non-frequent. Or even if it were, it's not the right type. So that's what I wanted to mention in this video. I can go on and on, guys, about all the different reasons you get declined. I can be on here for 5 hours. I can do this over 3 days, 3 weeks if I wanted to. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of the details on some possible reasons why you're getting declined for lump sum type of funding. Even a line of credit, like here, on lines of credit. And this could affect you similarly when you're trying to go through a revenue-based advance, although credit is less of a requirement with those. You can have lower credit, but better revenue or enough revenue and still look past that to a degree. But for lines of credit, let's just entertain that now. You might have too many recent inquiries on your commercial file. Which one is it? Which one is it that the lender's looking at? Experian, it's only that. Or is it Experian and Equifax, or the 3? Okay, they're looking at 2. All right, so docked off a point there. All these recent inquiries, you're shopping around, too much recent activity, too many inquiries, you've been shopping, you just got a home, you're not even making payments on your home, it hasn't even started the debt. Like, you got to look at all those things. Derogatory history. So even fintech lenders now are looking at business credit, because they want to get a bigger picture, as in, if you're not already making payments, how does it look like on the business? They might not always pull that from the business, but in this market, oh, believe me, inflation, the market, how it is, how bad it is already for a lot of different industries, They're looking at it for the most part, at least the A tier. Another thing, high debt utilization. Where is that debt utilization? How much of it? What's the total? What's the average? What account or what accounts? I look at a lot of that. All of this information to me is not new. I review credit reports every single day. I know how to think about it when I'm viewing it chronologically, sequentially, comprehensively. So high debt utilization on what accounts? Obviously, a lot of this turns out to be revolving. And then you might only have limited payments. But on what bureau? You're not showing us that you can handle a line of credit. Heck, you're overdrawn. You're going over your next month. You haven't even paid this down 50%. What do you think? Like, you have 4 months. You have 4 different payments. How are we going to give you more funding when you show us that you can't make those payments before the 30 days? Even if you have it to roll over to the next month, you're not paying it enough. And so those debt payments, they show on your business. How many of you in here actually want it's to have a business credit score or scores? How many of you actually check that? I'll try to leave more resources for you down below in the description so you can check that, because every single day, I kid you not, I get so many people who go, I don't even know my business credit, yet they want an SBA loan up to 500K. Sometimes over 500K, there will be a FICO SPSS business liquid credit. There are sometimes those, and then you'll see certain business credit requirements. At least if you can meet a specific minimum, it would be helpful. But anything usually 500,000 and below, or even 350K and below, that's being checked on. But you don't know. What I said in the beginning, if you remembered, if you've been hearing me this time, all of it, what you don't know is what hurts you more than what you know does help you. It's this large. I kid you not. What you know only does this. What you don't know does this. And that happens, I kid you not, it happens in less than a millisecond. In less than a second, you're already at a disadvantage. You've already lost. Somebody else out there is getting the money you want, and from the lender you could have gotten. And the more you wait to fix your own issue, because the issue isn't the business, the issue is you. Again, this is just tough love. I don't like bringing this topic up. I'm an introvert. I don't talk much as it is. Who else will you hear from if not somebody else who cares about you? Not just you, like I said, here, let me read this for you guys. I think this is where I'm gonna end it. And I put this on my LinkedIn yesterday. If you're following me on LinkedIn, you would have seen this. I don't get a lot of reach on LinkedIn, I'll be honest with you. Not because I could spend more time on there. I just kind of went away from it. And more things I could do, of course. But I have other platforms, of course. And when I come back to this and I focus on it 110%, yeah, I'm sure. But I'm shooting for different objectives. I'm shooting for different goals right now. And here's what I put. The number one mistake business owners make when getting funding, you very likely wouldn't have thought of this. I said 2 minutes before. Please give me this time and I'll get to you guys in a second. Hi, family. It's Michael here. And you guys are family to me. That's how much you guys mean to me. I speak to people, even if it's not a phone call. I've had people who I funded over 2 million, 3 million. They're doing 2 to 3 million a month, 50 million a year, even more, 100 million plus. Kid you not. They still take advances because that's their only option, or they go for SBA loans, or we get them in a position where they're ready for that, or whatever other type of funding they need to get to. You have a concrete plan. You have a concrete person. I'll get to that in a second. And there's other ways of communication. If you've seen my content, you would know who I am as a person. And again, I'll leave more content down below on that and my story. I hope you are doing well. Please allow me to get right into it. I know you value my honesty and transparency as well as I do yours, especially your energy and time. So please hear me out. I recently released a new video on the number one mistake most business owners make, and you may be making, that's costing you a lot. And this number one mistake is one you wouldn't have thought of, parentheses here, and I had parentheses earlier. It's hard truths, and I put this in caps locks. Hard and truths in caps locks. But I had to create it because I care about you, seriously. And I put care in caps locks as well as you. And it'll make you better longer term in your health, your relationships. It could be wealth in your personal life. Not always is it a direct result because of your business, indirect, or vice versa, and much more in different subsets of those categories. Here's a quick snippet and intro. Owner says, and when we've gone to this part, and they won't always be like this word per word, but I just kind of give you guys an example. But the owner says here, I've been getting like over 10 lenders, organizations, brokers, and others contacting me for funding, even bombarding and pressuring me. I would like to see what you have, ... So that can be, depending on the client, different tonality, different words they use, different words I use. Me, I understand, truly I do. Without getting into the details of what they're exactly doing, and in parentheses I could ask, and I'd very likely know their strategy and tactics. A lot of the times it's not good. It's just very transactional, short term. Here's the interest rates. Here's the term. We do factor rates, or we do SBA loans, and here's the current prime rate plus this, and just depending on the business's nature, and it's so dumb to me. There's a point that you can get to that, which that makes sense, but here. How many of these people do you actually know anything about? And I don't mean from a business point of view, as in their value or values, core values, you could say, vision, mission, what sets them apart, following, how many people, how much credentials they have, or it could be that they're showing up on times, I don't know, Forbes, wherever it is. Ooh. Oh, nice. Etc. But as in the person who you're in contact with, whether that be the owner or not. I'm going to say this one part again. How many of these people do you actually know anything about? And as a person who you're in contact with, whether that be the owner or not. A lot of you wouldn't be able to raise your hands. If I sat you guys in a classroom right now and I asked you that, I'm sure only one out of every 10. No, 1 out of every 100 probably. More like it, yeah. I can go to classroom after classroom. I can sit a whole auditorium and ask the same question. Crickets. In your thoughts, what is he getting at? Why does that matter? I'm afraid if I do this, then I'll be accused of this. No. The first thing is admitting. If you want to improve. Owner is what they'll probably say back. Slight pause usually happens. Even thinking to himself or herself, what's he getting at? Or something else. And they go, none. Me in my head thinking, I might not say it. Usually don't always say these things. But I'm thinking, I'm not surprised. While they are very transactional and usually all about numbers and reading a script, I don't like it that way. So you don't know the owner's value or values, core, who they are, why them, neither. And I put in parentheses sales rep most likely. You're indirectly / directly in contact with. Just vision who you're working with for a second. Sit down. Have you ever thought about who you're applying to? And the way you're getting contacted is one thing, but how and who. It's not always the what. It's the how and the who. And so what you have to get together and understand is a lot of these bigger companies, or even if they're not big, they're going to hire out people to do their work. So you have the people at the top, and then you have the people who are the sales reps or the grunt workers. I don't want to say that in a bad way at all. That's not what it is. But you're working out there, getting in front of clients, and you're doing things, and you're bringing them in. I'm not a salesperson, by the way. I'm not like that. And so you have to understand who you're indirectly or directly in contact with. And even if it's not the owner that you can't get in contact with because they have other things now that they're doing or whatever they're doing now or have been doing, do you even know who the person is on the other side? Like, I don't just give anybody my business. Yeah, go ahead. Here's my information. It was so simple. I could just put it into the portal but yeah, but that doesn't help you. 100%. Owner, correct. Parentheses I put, or some other word or words. Me. Values in you as a person means everything to me. Period. Show it. You don't have to always say it. That's who I am. I'm the action taker type. Don't tell me, I'll take care of it. It'll be on your table before you even asked, before you even thought about. If that's the case, that shows how much trust, loyalty I have in you. It could also mean how quickly I want to move. And it also means how organized I am when it shows me that. So your values as a person, they mean everything to me. Who are you? Who are you in life and work? What governs your belief, your preset beliefs? Why do you think the way you do? How are you in this circumstance? How can you apply a value into that? If you had to pick just one value that you would identify with that situation, what would it be and why? I want to know who someone is, in parentheses, even if it's just a tiny bit. I'm introverted, so it's hard for me to trust people. It is. And really open up. Me, you gotta peel me like an onion. The outer lane, you have to strip that apart, and then you have to got like a rock hard solid onion that you have to peel, strip back. Can't even get through. You have to claw your way in sometimes. I can be that way. Not always, but I can be that way. Especially when you don't give me a good reason to trust you. When I know people are how they are. And people are going through a lot of things right now. I get it. People are sacrificing their health and relationships even more than anything, and their wealth. So why trust somebody else? If you're dealing with that pain, are they going to put you in more hurt? I'm not here to do that. I worked on myself. Self-improvement. Even when things don't go right in my business or in other areas, I don't dwell. I have a very, very strong mindset. Things don't bring me down. Things don't break me down. And if something hurts so hard and bad, I get back up. Here's a very telling thing. Okay, let me go through this first. So, what do you or the person value? Who am I connecting with? What's their vision or visions? Mission in life? And why do you or they do what they do? Ultimately, that's what I want to know. Why do you do what you do? That'll reveal a lot about who you are, your values and your beliefs, and how you carry yourself and your character. Character means everything. Period. Without knowing one's core values, this is a very telling statement. Listen, you will only assume their character. If I don't know, I will only assume you are this way because of your industry or because here's who you are in Facebook or you could then give me a conclusion based on that and that could be accurate, but I would only assume. And you're doing the same thing vice versa. Tell me if I'm wrong. You might only think I'm just a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson, especially if you just joined here. I'm not. I don't even like the word sales. I hate it. If you use it in the right context, okay, I still don't like it. Because my background, I didn't do anything sales or salesy. So I'm not like that. And that's why a lot of people turn to me because I'm an introvert, one. I'm the yin to the yang, or the yang to the yin, you could say, to many people. And I just shut up and I do my work. You don't have to tell me give me a statement 2 times so I can understand it. All the people that I work with, they'll tell you that about me. They don't have to repeat something to me. They just tell me it once. You don't have to tell me. Because I listen. God gave me big ears too for a reason. So, yeah. Without knowing one's core values, if you don't understand my values, if I don't understand yours, and I've created content on this, on values, so I'll try to link it to you down below. You will only assume I will only assume your character. Vice versa. When you don't understand, you're only coming into this with, I just have a lot of pain. Can you just, here's the pain. Here's how I bridge you to that product. What do we do? Everything in between. Makes sense? Doesn't, okay, this, here. But how many times are you just making all of this about a transaction? How many times, oh, Michael, I felt like you were the one, man. I got like 5 different people. I just want to see what you got. And I'm going to ask you, why me? I'm going to really test you and ask you, why me? But because I saw a video where you said you got this exclusive partnership and it's like, you got this, that, man, I'm jamming with you. Or yes, but what about me and a person would you see that's different? Oh man. Or you may have the answer right away, or you'll develop it in time. No worries if that's the case. But thinking. Without knowing one's core values, you will only assume their character. You can only assume mine and think that I'm just behind a desk or working with 100 people and just calling and calling every day. I hate calling. I hate being on phones. I'm an introvert. When it makes sense to do this, it does make sense. Not in every case. I'm very calculated in what I do. Think people don't do it the way that I do it because they can't. They can't handle doing it. They don't have enough want and desire to change and to make it happen. And so I'm very efficient. And once you come into my culture, if you haven't already, you'll see it. You will only assume their character, thus their position in business, their position in their work, their position perhaps in life. Thus categorize yours, or my identity and behavior. Happens a lot from your end. You're going to categorize my identity and behavior. And for the most part, a lot of it is false, especially if you haven't seen my content or heard from me. Once you do, you're like, oh, I know who this Michael guy is. I've heard his story. It's very genuine. So I'll try to leave more of that down below. I won't try to go through all of it here. Went through a little bit of it earlier. So you will only categorize their identity and their behavior driving their identity. So now you have this hamster wheel you're on, identity to product, behavior product to reactant, identity. It's just going to combust again. You're just going to put all these elements and compounds together, just trying to put your recipe together for disaster. Especially if you haven't prepared, you're just winging it, thinking and that's maybe how you learn. Sometimes you got to do that. Which you may not have right. So if you're assuming all of that now. See how that trickles down when you don't understand the character, you don't understand the value. There's a reason why you put people in a category the way you do. Not always, but I'd rather know who the person is and if they will have my back through thick and thin. Who am I going into bed with? Who is this person who does care about me? Like, we don't have to be the best of friends or that, but do I know a little bit? And you're going to get help from me in many ways. I've helped out more people than just funding. With their own development as a person and growth, people's marriages, family. It's the little things for me. Even when I didn't ask. Hey, Michael, I'm going to Disneyland. Or, hey, Michael, I'm going to Knott's Berry Farm. Where I'll be in the state just with family. Oh, that's very cool. What area are you in? Oh, you guys are going to go camping. I heard about that campsite. I heard there's a lot of amenities. There's a lot of little things to do here. I'd like to check it out. I haven't been there myself. It's just the little things for me that matter most. That's a quick run through. There's more to this I can't cover in a post. Again, this was from LinkedIn. It only allows so much character count, and the video was more appropriate for me to put it in a different platform. It's in the video. If you'd like to see it, you can comment down below or let me know your thoughts if you wish. I really do hope this opens your eyes, even your ears, your senses in other ways, and gives you perspective in that you know I truly do care about you. I'm not just saying that for anything. And first, as a person, all the people that are around you, inanimate objects, whatever it is, whatever you come in contact or communicate with, internally, externally, as more health, relationships, and a plethora of things. Self-improvement is a continuous process. Don't ever stop and forget about your own growth as a person. Talk soon. Signature, my name. I'll just say it. I always do that. Michael, and then parentheses, your non-traditional business funding expert, Granados. I just put a little, like, just to get some reach on the post, I guess. I put hashtag people. There's a little image there of a lady pulling or has her hands on her hair. She looks ready to start pulling her hair as she's looking at the laptop, all concerned and worried on her face. And I put here in title, #1 business funding mistake you are very likely making that's costing you a lot. Let me go to the content or comments since we are streaming here on TikTok. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in a different format. This is spontaneous, so I didn't announce it. So if not a lot of people were commenting or could show, I get it. It happens. And so all of the information will be in the bio if you're on social media, and or in the description down below if you're watching this from YouTube or elsewhere. And you can get started with the questionnaire. Remember, if you haven't filled that out, I normally will give a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, and then I could give out a 900 plus or so free grant list. That's very exclusive. If not, if that's changed over time, that's different. I would give people a partial list to begin with, but until you fill out that questionnaire form, I'll give you the full updated list, continuously being rotated. And if that were to be removed or completely brought down, that's a different thing, and times change. So I'd get in it as soon as possible so you do not miss out on these. And that if you have one grant and you're like, oh, I could have applied yesterday, but then it just expired. But you were sitting here or standing watching and waiting. You got busy. I get it as an owner. But let me go to the comments. Why you don't call back? I'm not sure if you're in here, Ayan. I'm not too familiar. I'd have to look at the file. Excuse me, Ayas. But just for everybody to know, if you've been following me, I think you know where this is going. I'm very punctual. I have the right systems, processes, and when it makes sense to, I don't always have this, but automation, when it makes sense, not always. But I'm there. Sending me emails, I'm sending you emails. Questionnaire form submissions, I'm filling them back out and sending them to you. Other formats, I'm doing that. It's me, for the most part there. Majority, like 100%. Unless I would bring some more or another person in. Okay, maybe. Different. Depending on the point of the funnel or communication. But I have a process. So most people, I expect to have that questionnaire form submitted so I can pre-underwrite. It's not an application. I need to have something tangible to pre-screen. Can you imagine if I were just to get everybody a call, like outbound, inbound? I'd be done. I'd be out of this industry. A lot of older heads can do it because that's what they were brought up to, or that's what they only knew how or could do. And it's not always that that's the case, or that they're just extroverted and they'd rather be good at that. That's not it. It's just, I'm a very calculated person. Times change, and you got to change with the times as well. And sometimes you got to come more 80-20 on my side than I have to do 50-50 or 80-20 on yours. So I hope that's helpful. It's not like I can't meet you somewhere, but if I weren't doing it the way I'm doing it, you can, I'm sure you put yourself in my shoes, but if you haven't, and those of you who are watching, put yourself in my shoes. See, when you're only assuming, that's assuming my character. You're asking for things that will not be given, that should not be given, not even will not, that should not. And it depends on the time. Now we're at this part of the process that will be given. Or it makes sense for me to do this at the very beginning before that questionnaire was submitted. I'm very calculated, guys, in what I do, emotionally and logically making sense. And or I'm not just basing it off of, oh, you don't have the numbers and I don't want to speak to you. No. Right now, if you go through my email inbox or the people that I've been in contact with before, they even give the time and day for a call or right then and there. I don't set appointments normally to do calls. Let me pick up my phone and call the person. I know they're busy and I'll address that. If they're busy, it's okay and I'll go, or they're not and we'll spend a little bit of time. And yeah, I don't even like getting on phone calls, but why I do it that way when I have to is because as an introvert, if you know this, we don't like scheduling appointments. And I do schedule appointments for consultations, normally starting as a Facebook consult to begin, chat. And then if it evolves, if it makes sense to evolve, if it's like the right, okay, because of energy and time. Yes, there are startup business grants in that area as well as others. Good question. And many come to mind. I won't start naming them now for the purpose of where we are at this video now. I'm going to end here soon. And I want to go through others. Comments. Hi, Gary. I'm not sure if you're in here. I know I had to get my message across, and sometimes I don't interrupt that to go into the comments. Other times I will. I appreciate you, though. Thank you. I'm trying my best and trying to reach the people who have a want and a desire for change. Those of you who don't and just want to continue to do the same thing like I went into earlier, if you just want to continue to apply wherever and whenever, go for it. See how that works. Oh, I got funding though, Michael. Look, I got it. Who'd you get it through? No. Who's the person you got it through? Who are they? God, good question. I'll get back to you. How is the process? Appreciate you. Thank you, Gary. Does anybody else have any questions? I'll leave it open for about 30 more seconds. Like, here's how calculated I even am, guys. So I'm getting an email or a couple, and they're asking for a phone call. Can you please call and this and that? Look. I have a tool because they're a part of my list. So I'm gonna double check to see what they filled out. I could already tell without, yeah, they haven't filled that out yet. And looking at the previous messages, if I just go in here via their email, seeing the previous conversations we've had, they didn't do what I even asked them to. And I sent this message August 2nd. Maybe they didn't see it. Let me check to make sure if they did or not. Yeah, they did see it. I could see open days. I have software. I have tools that I have that a lot of people have access to. They can use. And you can tell when somebody opens an email. You can tell when somebody's looked at it. Uh, so the fact that this individual probably got busy or something happened, no. This is desperate needs of funds, and I'm not desperate enough to call somebody just because they want to call or when it's most convenient. Does that make sense? That's only one example. In a sentence, it's just a full document list with different categories and for different types of grants. That's more of a general answer, I know, but once you have access to this, you'll see how it's categorized and what you can have access. I made a video on this too. It's on the YouTube channel. And here, let me find the exact one. It's called 100,000 Small Business Grants 2023, where you can go view that. And that'll give you more details. I said 30 seconds. I'll reset the time because of a question. Does anybody else have anything they would like to bring up? Any funding scenario? Good question. Are you already a part of my questionnaire? So here's what I can do. I'm sure you don't want to give your email here, but I'll do this. Or you can go to the bio. Sometimes the link doesn't display here on TikTok for some reason. You can send me an email there if you see the whole thing. If you're not, let me know. And let me know, hey, this is Elegant Cars, or your name, introduce yourself. And I asked you about the grants. I'll know, like I'll remember specifically. And then I'll send you my questionnaire form. When you fill out my questionnaire form, it won't directly send you to the grant. That's not what it's going to do. But I'll account for that. And usually, what I give people is a customized PDF. And in that PDF, you'll get all your best funding options. And then there'll be a section in that for grant opportunities you can click. And because you have my questionnaire form, you'll get the full list. If you guys don't have my questionnaire, and I might have some different stipulations in time where I'm going to have people pay for this, I actually won't. Likely not. Very likely not. But then you'll have access to that. I have different documents where it's a shorter list, where I have a document that says, if you want the full 900 plus, if you want what's the best out there to go and apply to, here's the questionnaire form, fill that out. But yeah, you can email me or you can go to the bio link, and that goes for everybody. Okay, 30 more seconds. I hope you guys really do understand that every word I think my way through. It's been a longer video, so it's a Friday, longer video. I'm kind of tired already. But I hope you know that I do care and I remember each one of you. And what I remember you by, a lot of it is who you are as a person and what you were doing in that time, and like just what you brought up, a story about you. Or if it's not even a story, it's like, oh, I was just grabbing a quick snack at Walgreens, or I was on my way to pump gas and I saw this lady. Should have seen it. It was kind of weird. I saw her walking and she kept looking at me in a way that was like suspicious. And I got in my car with my wife right behind me or right to the side of me. We're going on a travel trip. And it's like, oh. And those little things to me stand out a lot more than, oh, well, my business is generating at 100% ROI. And if I get it to 150 to 200% in the next 3 months, I'm going to have net profit margins increase substantially. And I have a $500,000 project. Like, I get all that. I understand and I remember that too. But who is the like who? Like when you guys go get funding online, every person just goes and applies wherever and whenever and really never thinks it through in what they're getting and what their outcome could be and how much maximum funding they could be getting elsewhere with the right partnership. And we've beaten a lot of offers. I've beaten a lot of offers. The majority of the time I do. That's not in a cocky way. That's in a confident and certain way. I'm never cocky. But I have the results. I have seen it. And I know what is the difference maker or makers. 1 second. Not yet. I'll stay here with you. Feel free to send it again and I'll verify. It should be, sometimes it just shows the at, but it'll be my first name. So, Michael, Micha as an Adam, E as an Edward, L at viralfundingsolutions.com. Or it could be delayed somehow. Perhaps you're working on that, but I'm going to get going. Perhaps you're over there sending the email and we'll come back here, but I do have to go. I'll look out for things and for everybody in here. Sorry, watch. It was reminding me it's time to stand up, which I will need to. All right, everybody. Appreciate you all. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for hearing this message. I don't want to be one to bring it up. I do at times, not too much. I'm not the type to want to do that, but I think it's better you hear it from somebody who is not only an expert in what they do, but really does care about you. It goes far beyond funding for me. And I've worked on myself as a person. I work here, I help the community out and give back even a huge percentage of what I get here from this business and my others. And a lot of it goes towards helping out other people in underserved areas, communities, hospitals, etc. And that's what makes me go. What makes me go too is the loss of people in my life and other things that have happened even before them, even before that happened. And having a strong why that has only iterated or has only become something new or have added on top of those have helped me move forward even more. So that is all for now. Oh, I think Elegant is back in here. If you are, let me know. But I did not get your email, in case you didn't hear that. And oh, I didn't get into so much like the all the other reasons why you could get declined, but just know that even if it's like SBA or something, it could be somewhat similar. There could be other reasons: business credit, personal credit, revenue, and other reasons why you were declined. But you guys got to see an image of a specific service, or it could be a combination of with others, just depending on the circumstances. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your Friday, weekend. Whenever you're watching this, have a great rest of your day, rest of the week, if it is middle, beginning of the week. And yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.